Hello.
Hey TW, it's Kenny from Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing real good, and thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right, TW, let's go ahead and get started. How did you guys start in wrestling?
Um, I've been wrestling now for about 5.5, going on 6 years. I've actually been around wrestling for about the past 9 or 10 years. I started out doing security in the wrestling business, and actually started training with my wife's cousin and some friends of his, and I guess I was just in the right place at the right time.
And do you remember the first match you ever had, and if so, who was your opponent?
Actually, I do. It was a dog collar match, and it was against Chris Nelms.
All right, and what are some of the wrestling companies do you work for?
Well, I work for numerous companies down here around the Middle Georgia area. Championship Wrestling Overload, Trinity Christian Wrestling, Anointed Christian Wrestling, Galaxy Pro Extreme Wrestling, EPXW. I've worked for APW, just numerous companies around the Middle Georgia area.
And do you have any upcoming shows you would like to promote?
Yeah, I've actually got. I'm a little slim on the bookings this month. I've actually got one show in the upcoming month, and that's going to be the third Sunday in August for Championship Wrestling Overload over in Milledgeville at the Fun Factory. And bell time will be 7 p.m. on that.
And who are some of the other wrestlers you have had the chance to work with?
Well, I've had the chance to work with Chick Donovan, with Joel Deaton, Keith Steinborn. Anytime that I've had the opportunity to work with guys of that legacy, it's always been a real honor and a real treat to work with those guys. Joel actually worked in New Japan Pro Wrestling, former tag team champion over there. Keith Steinborn and Chick Donovan actually worked with NWA, WCW. I learned a lot from those old school guys. I'm old school at heart, and it's always a real treat whenever I get to work with guys like that. Some local guys on the indie scene that I've had an opportunity to work with that I've had some good matches that really stand out is Bobby Joyner, Scotty Bullwinkle, Tommy Lee, just numerous people here on the indie scene in Georgia that I've had the opportunity to work with.
What's the wrestling scene like down there in Georgia, indie wrestling wise?
Right now it's pretty hot right now in Georgia. There's numerous companies from one end of the state to the other to work for. It's just all about finding the right company that's gonna help you get your name out there and help you take your career to that next level. And there's numerous companies that are great companies here in Georgia. Rampage Pro Wrestling, AWN, just to name a few. Some of the top-notch promotions here in Georgia. Numerous promotions up around the Atlanta area that really stand out. And it's just, like I said, it's just all about finding the right company, and that's going to catapult you to that next level.
What do you consider as influences in your wrestling career?
Influences in my wrestling career. I would definitely say, my wife has been a huge influence on my wrestling career. She supported me since day one. She's traveled the road with me. She's put up with the late nights on the road, getting home, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I've got a little 3-year-old daughter. She loves it. She absolutely loves it. Getting the opportunity to go to shows and traveling with me whenever she gets the opportunity to do that. And I definitely have to say God. I'm being a born again Christian and an active Christian on the wrestling scene. It's not an easy task to go along with the pro wrestling thing, but luckily I'm able to make that work.
What do you think that it takes to have a long wrestling career? Do you think it's more mentally you got to have what it takes, or more physical?
I would say a little bit of both. Wrestling it's all about mentally, and it's the mental and physical part of it. Physically, you have to keep your body in tremendous shape. You have to. We take some pretty hard bumps and bruises and licks, and that's the physical aspect of it. And mentally, you always want to study, and I'm one that any opportunity I get, I want to go back and I want to look at my matches, and I want to look and I want to find the mistakes that I made, and I want to make myself better and capitalize on that the next time I'm in the ring.
What do you consider as the highlight of your wrestling career thus far?
The highlight of my wrestling career thus far, would be, I'm very big on tag team wrestling, and I've had the opportunity to tag with my partner Tommy Lee for the past 3 years, and we've won 3 different sets of tag titles. So with the state that tag team wrestling was in, that's kind of a highlight to me, was being able to win the tag titles with him.
For those who just tuning in, you are listening to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. I'm joined with my third guest of the evening, T.W. James, all the way down south in Georgia. Is there any wrestlers, Indy or pro, that you haven't had the chance to work with but would like to work with someday?
I would definitely say there's a few top names in the indie business that I'd love to work with. Not just here in Georgia, but I've had the opportunity to follow them on the indie scene. Just any wrestler that I've never faced before. I really enjoy getting in the ring and seeing what they bring to the table, and trying to improve and take my game to the next level.
And what's your thoughts on the wrestling that's on television, the WWE, the TNAs, and now Ring of Honor's having TV shows as well? What's your take on the wrestling that's going on television right now?
I haven't really had the opportunity to follow Ring of Honor as much as I would like to. They don't offer it in our area where I live. But I follow TNA and WWE quite frequently. I would say overall, TNA's made some strides in the past couple of months, storyline-wise, to kind of capture the essence of their audience, and they've made some tremendous strides with the roster and bringing in fresh talent, bringing in fresh faces that the fans want to see that they haven't had the opportunity to see in the past couple of months or in the past year, that these guys used to work for WWE, and now they're, TNA's bringing them in. WWE overall, it has a great product. Like I said, I mean, wrestling overall, I'm old school at heart. I love the old school wrestling. I love it from back in anywhere from the early to mid '80s is when wrestling here in the South, especially, really catapulted and took off. And I'll always be an old school fan at heart.
With that said, who are some of your favorite old school wrestlers back in the 80s?
I would definitely have to say Sting, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Barry Windham, Big Van Vader, probably one of the best big men in the business to grace the squared circle.
Speaking of Vader, he was actually at Monday Night Raw's 1000 episode, and he was involved a few weeks back. He looked in good shape to me.
Yeah, he looks like he still got it. He actually had a match about 3 or 4 weeks ago on Raw with Heath Slater, and I seen that match, and he looks like he still got it. He looks like he can still get it.
And speaking of Vader, he's going to be coming to my neck of the woods in October in Kentucky. So, man, I would love to see Vader in person. He's without a doubt one of the best big guys out there. The 300, 400 pound, whatever way you want to put him, super heavyweight. I guess I'll call him a super heavyweight. There's not a whole lot of quote unquote super heavyweights that it was probably 10, 15 years ago, but what it should take on people like Vader and Yokozuna and just to name a few, what's your take on super heavyweights and their involvement in professional wrestling?
Well, with me being a bigger guy myself, I'm actually in the process of trying to drop some pounds myself, but there's a place for guys of all sizes in the business, and Big Van Vader, Yokozuna, the Big Show, Rikishi, just to name a few.
Yeah, and you know what? Absolutely, man. It's good to see that the big guys shown that not only they can wrestle, that they can compete, they can entertain the fans as well, and they could be just as athletic as, say, a regular heavyweight or cruiserweight for that matter. So what it all boils down to is, just like a lot of phases in life, there's room for the big guys. At the end of the day, company has to believe in them and that they can perform, and once they have the belief in the company, sky's the limit.
Yeah, and that's one of the hardest things that a big guy has against him is his size, and actually being able to convince a company that he can go. I've had my back up against numerous times. They look at me and they think, 400 pounds. It's limited as to what you can do in the ring. That's the farthest thing from the truth.
And what would your advice be, TW, to anyone out there that wants to be in the wrestling business? What would your advice be?
I would definitely say, think about it. If you were serious about getting in the business, I would say find a reputable trainer. There's so many backyard wrestlers going on this day and time who they claim to be wrestlers. I'm not taking anything away from them, but that's not professional wrestling. Find you a training school, a reputable person who's been in the business for a while now, and allow them to train you.
All right. Again, I'm joined with T.W. James here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Before I let you go, T.W., I asked our guests to do this, like a station ID, like a voice drop. All you have to do is say your name, and right after you say your name, you say you are listening to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.
This is T.W. James, and you're listening to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.
T.W., thank you for your time, sir. I wish you nothing but the best going forward. If you are in the Georgia area, please check him out. And check him out on Facebook under the name T.W. James. Thank you for your...
All right, thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks a lot for having me, man.
You have any final words and shout-outs, sir?
That'll be about it.
All right, thank you, and you have a good evening.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye. That was T.W. James joining me here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.